this computer. We'll try that. Okay, good. So welcome everyone. We are so excited that in just a few days, our first and second graders will join us in reentry. The past 2 weeks with kindergarten and TKers has been wonderful. It's been fabulous to have kids on campus. Even though we did have a little hiccup where we had a student who did test positive, and so we did have to close that classroom. We are anticipating that that may happen this year in COVID, but because we are following all the protocol and doing everything we're supposed to do, I am sure that there will be no transmissions within the school. All the transmissions are happening outside. But we'll speak more about that. I am going to share my screen and get started. Let's see, here we go. Good. I'm gonna get this out of the way and we'll start from the beginning. Okay, so as you know, October 26th was the first day for TK and K. November 9th, we start with first and second graders. And then November 30th, we'll have the rest of our kids join us on campus. That's what our goal is over the next couple of weeks. We did submit our school site-specific protection plan to the county. Gosh, it was 6 weeks ago. I had a task force that contributed to the information that's in that plan. In fact, Mary Contreras was one of them. Michael Sullivan, who is a parent on here tonight, he was another one of them. I had Jane Vitorello, Julie Spann, Penny Janik. We had a teacher on there. So we had representation from across the PD community who provided input and their insights into developing that plan. And we passed, we were certified without any issues whatsoever. This is where we are, I'm gonna move this up. So we are now in the hybrid model for our TK and kindergartners. So you can see here that the schedule here is that they start from 8:40 and go to 12:05. Cohort A, Monday and Tuesday. Cohort B, Thursday and Friday. Cohort B on Monday and Tuesday is doing asynchronous learning. And then after lunch, the teacher meets with them in person. So a similar thing is going to happen with your first and second graders. I'll review that schedule in a moment. I did want to just let you know, if any of you have TK or kindergartners, that starting on Monday, we are going to stagger the drop-off and pickup times. We already have the staggered recesses, but TK and kindergarten are going to come to school at 8:30 instead of 8:40 because we want to try to prevent some traffic jams in the front of the school. So that's just something to pay attention to. Okay. Next. So this is the schedule for first through fifth grade. So they will come on campus at 8:40 and they are on campus until 12:25. That includes a 15-minute recess. So that turns out to be a total of 210 instructional minutes. First, second, and third graders are required to have 230 instructional minutes every day. So when cohort A goes home, they will have to do an additional 20 minutes of asynchronous learning in order to complete that 230 minutes. Upper grades will have to go for a little bit longer. It's a grab and go lunch. We're not having lunch on campus at this time. All lunches, everyone will receive a lunch whether you ask for it or not. We are requesting that if your student absolutely does not want the lunch or will not be taking a lunch ever, you prefer to pack your own lunch, to please notify Julie and we will let the kitchen know for that particular student. Otherwise, you might be going home with, we don't want to waste the food. So after lunch, the teachers meet with cohort B and they'll be working with them for 80 minutes in direct instruction remotely, okay? Which means that cohort B needs to complete 140 minutes of asynchronous learning in the morning, okay? So it's not quite the full day that cohort A has in the morning. They only have to do 140 40 minutes, and then they'll get the additional 80 minutes in the afternoon. Is that correct? I think I'm just, it should be 150 minutes actually to make it 230. I'll have to read my notes a bit better. And then in the afternoons, the teachers have a prep time. On Wednesdays, both Cohort A and Cohort B will be remote, and the teachers will meet with them from 8:40 to 11:50. And in the afternoon, they will have some asynchronous work that they'll have to complete. Okay? Any questions about that? Everybody knows that schedule pretty well now? Okay. Mrs. Heslop or Ms. Marston, just let me know, okay? Okay. The cohorts, each class has been divided into 2 cohorts. The lower grades can have up to 12 students in a cohort, and the upper grades will have up to 15. The cohorts were determined using NUSD priorities, looking at siblings, special programs, whether they were ELD or special ed, combination classes, if they had medical needs or daycare needs. And only you notice that learning pods is not actually one of the things that was considered. After we put in the siblings and the special programs, it really did not leave much wiggle room for cohorts after that. So everybody was placed very thoughtfully where they were, and so far it seems to have worked okay. This is a little excerpt from the Student and Family Handbook. We are requesting that families be responsible in order to ensure the safe return for students on campus. Is that you limit your social activity, make sure that gatherings are no more than 3 households together. We're also asking you to limit the number of cohorts your child is in. For example, it could be the school cohort and an after-school sports program. Your own household is not included in that cohort. We ask that you maintain, as a family, that you maintain physical distancing and face covering protocol, and be sure you're washing hands all the time, and stay home if you are feeling sick or know that you have been exposed to somebody with COVID. Okay, starting on Monday, Marin County is scheduled to move into Tier 3, and so the decision trees are going to change slightly. So we'll be sending, they're a little less intense than they were in the prior ones. So it's now for scenario 1, if you are exhibiting 2 of these, 2 of the typical COVID symptoms, then the classroom will stay open, but you will stay home, notify the people. If a student or a family member if a student or staff member has been in close contact with somebody, then that person stays home and quarantines for 14 days. The classroom still remains open. The only time the classroom closes is if we have a confirmed test, a confirmed positive test. Then we do close the classroom, and everyone would be required to go into quarantine. There's another, and then the bottom one is if a student or staff member tests negative for COVID after their symptoms, they can return to school after they have been 24 hours without any symptoms. And we can go into a little bit more detail on the next page. So this is for Tier 1 and Tier 2. So you can follow these decision trees. It was part of the handbook that we sent the link out to everybody. We do have hard copies in the office. Again, this decision tree is changing slightly as of Monday. So here at the top left-hand corner, if there are less common symptoms of COVID, like a stuffy, runny nose, body aches, fatigue, or lethargy, siblings and household contacts do not need to stay home, but you're encouraged to contact your healthcare provider, who will tell you what the next step should be. If your healthcare provider determines that it's your child's regular asthma or allergies, we just need a note from that healthcare provider to say that no, it's nothing beyond that, and then the child could return to school after they are symptom-free or fever-free. Okay, if they have 2 or more common symptoms like the fever, the chills, cough, sore throat, all of those things, the siblings and household contacts must stay home, or you will be sent home if they will be sent home if they exhibit any of those symptoms on campus. We contact the healthcare provider. It's highly recommended that you test your child. It's that 10 days out or test. If it's negative, the parent can provide a copy of that to the school, and the child can return to school once they're symptom-free. Of course, if it's positive, then they'd have to stay at home for 10 days from the time that the symptoms started and be symptom-free. And the siblings and household contact should stay home and quarantine as well for 14 days. And obviously, if they're not tested, then they are doing that 10 or test thing where they would have to stay home for the 10 days. Okay, close contact with someone who tested positive. So then you do have to quarantine and stay home, call the healthcare provider. And it's recommended that you schedule a COVID-19 test 5 to 7 days after the last contact with the positive case, okay? So I'm sure all of you have been reading a lot on all of this stuff. And it is, so this is the most recent one, so it is changing slightly. Key COVID symptoms, 2 or more. If a staff has one of the following symptoms, siblings and household do not have to stay home. We'll post this in the on the PV website, and we'll also put it as a link in the PV Views this weekend so that you can look at this in more depth. Okay. Again, contact is considered spending 15 minutes or more within 6 feet of an infected person with or without a mask. So if it is less than 15 minutes and outside greater than 6 feet, that's not considered contact. Okay.
Dana, can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes.
So one was, what drop-off time do you use if you have a child in TKK and one in first or second?
They should just drop them off at the same time. They should drop them off at 8:30. That would be fine.
Okay. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
If someone tests positive in a cohort, does that cohort shift to all Zoom learning for 2 weeks?
Yes.
Does the whole class, both cohorts, move to Zoom for the 2 weeks?
Yes, that's what we have done because the teacher would have to be in quarantine as well in that case, which is what has happened in Mrs. Ramser's class. She's tested negative, but she does have to quarantine. And because she's quarantined, rather than hire a sub to cover the cohort B, which can return, actually cohort B can return next Thursday, Friday. But we figured it's easier just to go into that remote schedule, and because everybody knows what that's like and the teacher knows what it's like. So that's what we've determined we're going to do. Did I answer that clearly?
Erin, did she answer that for you clearly? I think so.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
good. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. We are, NUSD has purchased this Crisis Go. You should, all first and second grade parents or families should be receiving a Crisis Go test tomorrow. We want to be sure that families have, so the way it works is it goes to the legal custodian, legal guardian's email. So we need to be sure that we have your correct email address. We need to be sure that we have the correct person marked as the legal guardian. So do check the test tomorrow. You'll have to answer some questions when it pops up. If you answer all the questions not correctly, but in a safe manner, then you'll get a green badge and you're good to go to school. If you answer negatively on one or the other, because there's 2 questions, then you will get either that access is denied, the red badge, or you also get access denied even if it's just symptoms, okay, not direct exposure. So do check out, do be sure to check your emails tomorrow and answer those the questions, and we will try to see if anybody's missing, and we'll contact you and try to get it so you're set up for Monday. If we don't get you set up for Monday, you don't have to worry. We have hard copies of the questions that we can provide you in the car line, but your child will not be allowed on campus without having the green badge, okay, or that you're answering correctly to the hard copy questions.
Dana,
Yeah.
one of the questions is, does it go to both parents?
So it goes to one person first, whoever is first on the list, and then it goes to the second person if there's no response. And they're sending it out, I think it's at 6:15 that they're sending it out. And the idea is that you would get it, you would complete this before you bring your child to school, because we look through it and we see who's good to go, because on our end it shows, yes, they can enter, yes, they can enter, yes, they can enter. If we don't have a response from you, your child won't be allowed on until we get that response. So have a look tomorrow, and then look in your junk mail, because sometimes it goes there. And you might also want to contact the office if you don't get it, to be sure that we have your correct email.
And then another question is there an app for this?
I'm sorry?
Is there an app for it?
It's not an app. No,
Okay.
It's not an app. Okay.
How do you have a badge for more than one child?
I believe you do it for each child.
Susan, did that answer your question?
I do. I am a grandparent who will be transporting a grandchild to and from school on Monday and Tuesday. I just need to know what classroom and where do I go?
So we'll cover all that in just a second. And I would just make sure that the mother or father is sure to complete the Crisis Go survey before they come. Okay, but we'll cover where to go and how to do it in just a second.
What if you don't have a color printer?
Oh, it's not a printer. It shows up on your iPhone, on your cell phone.
Oh,
Okay.
got it.
And I don't need to see the green badge, or teachers don't need to see the green badge. If you answer before you come to school, we'll know who is green and who is not, okay? Because it shows up on our end. We've been going through and checking. With TK and K, typically it's just 2 or 3 kids every day whose parents do the survey, do the check, the screening in the car line. And then we just see them, but we know who we're looking for. So that does cut down the time in terms of checking. Does that make sense? You'll see tomorrow. It's actually really simple, just a couple questions that pop up. You have to answer those questions. That will generate whether your child can enter or not. And if you come late, if you do it late when you're in the car line, you can do it on your cell phone and just show the green badge, and your child will be good to go. Okay, all right. So again, these are things for you to consider then, just make sure that if your child is showing any signs of illness, don't send them to school. We will send them home. They won't be allowed onto campus if they are exhibiting any symptoms. What this means is that it's really important for you to have backup. Okay, here, these are some of the more common symptoms of COVID: the fever, cough, sore throat, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, not being able to taste or smell, headache, diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Okay, so if your child suddenly exhibits those symptoms on campus, they will be put in an isolation area, which will be in the front of the school. And they must be picked up within 30 minutes if they exhibit any of these symptoms. So be sure that on your emergency card, you have at least 3 contacts. So if you are in the city and unable to pick them up, you have a backup for someone who could pick them up, okay? Not only do we do the screening for students, all staff members also do the screening. And this is a way of contact tracing. This is how we can keep track of who's been on campus, where they've been, so that if we do have a case, we can follow up with everyone and maintain that safe space. Masks are required of all staff and all students at all times except when eating. So even our TKers and kindergartners, they're wearing masks, and We were anticipating it being a challenge for them, but obviously families have been teaching their kids how to do it, and there's been no issues with kids without masks. They sit at their desks, they have their screens around them. We've got the air purifier, so kids are, and they line up 6 feet apart. So we're anticipating the first and second graders will also be great role models with that. So these are some.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Someone inquired, what happens if their child is not picked up within that 30-minute time
They
frame?
can wait, they'll have to wait in the front of the office. I mean, there's not much we can do, but they will be waiting. They're not in the office, they're outside in the isolation area. So you want to do your best to make sure that you have someone who can pick them up, okay? Everyone has to do their best. Okay. Here's a map of the school. You can see in the lower left-hand corner, you can see the kindergarten classrooms and the TK classrooms. I'll have to update this because Mrs. Kennison, Mrs. OK is not here any longer, it's Mrs. K. But the TK and K drop off, you see the red arrows, they are entering directly into Miss Ok's class or Miss K's class and into Miss Ramser's class. And Miss Robertson's class, now that we are in week 2, they are lining up outside on the playground. We do not have yard supervision before school. Kids are not playing on the playgrounds before school. They're coming directly at the start of school, lining up and going into classrooms. We're hoping we'll be able to shift away from that as we become more expert in the protocol and what we need to do on campus. So that's the red arrows here. First graders, their drop-off is going to be right in front of the first grade classroom. I'll show you some pictures in a moment, but in Mrs. Davis' class, they're gonna go straight into the classroom using the outside doors. Miss Marston's the same. Miss Heslop's class will go all the way around and enter through the breezeway through that back door here. Second grade, they're going to enter through the front gate. But before they do, I'll show you pictures. The kids are going to be lining up in a line, and I'll show those pictures in a second. But second grade will go enter through that gate down the breezeway to Mrs. Chase's and Mrs. Marshall's. And third grade, same. Fourth grade comes through the main gate, and fifth grade will be dropped off in the driveway, and they're going to head through the outside. So the reason we're doing it this way is just to prevent too many people being in the breezeway at a time, or any groups of kids hanging out. Okay.
Dana, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Someone asked if they have multiple children to drop off, can they drop them all off together, or should they stop at each of the sections and let them out?
They can drop them off all together. Just be aware that they will, so there's not that much a difference. It's 10 minutes, right? From the 8:30 for TKK to 8:40 for first and second grade. But they will be standing on these X's for those 10 minutes. They will not be running around on the playground, okay? So just be aware of that. You give them a heads up. So you can see the TKK drop-off is down by the kindergarten buildings, and they'll just go straight here. First grade drop-off is right in front of the stairs into the first grade rooms here. And you can see, so in Miss Heslop's class, they're going to be standing on all these yellow X's. So when they get dropped off, they're going to come and stand here until she comes and collects them and takes them around the back. Mrs. Davis's will stand on the blue X's, and Mrs. Marston's will stand on the orange X's. So we'll see. Okay, there are the yellow ones. Here are Mrs. Marston's, here are Miss Davis. So that's going to be the same for drop-off and for pickup. Okay, so we're asking that every family is going to have, so the families in Miss Heslop's class are going to get a yellow piece of paper, large piece of yellow paper with your child's name on it for you to put in the windshield. Orange for Mrs. Marston, blue for Miss Davis. We found that that has really cut down on drop-off and pickup times. It goes really, really fast. We have kindergarten and TK down to 5 minutes for both. So you will be able to pick those up on Friday if you haven't already. Here is the second grade. So they're going to go in through this front gate. But when they get dropped off and picked up, they're going to be standing on these. So this is Mrs. Chase's will be standing on the pink X's, and Miss Marshall's will be standing on the green X's. Okay, and then they will be taken into the breezeway to drop off their backpacks. Okay, backpacks are going to be hanging outside. This is Miss Marshall's, I believe, and this is Mrs. Chase's, and then this is Miss Davis's. So you can't see the backpacks, but I guess what I wanted to show you here is that these E's, the large blue E's, that is for entering and exiting. So kids need to use that door. Kids are not going to be using the common rooms at all. Everything will be through this external exit and entrance. All the classrooms have been set up. They have 6 feet between each desk. All the desks are fitted with these barriers. You can see many of the teachers have purchased these plastic squares that they can put on the ground. So it's an additional place where kids can stand or move their bodies. But they are going to be hanging around their desks and with their masks on and doing that social distancing. Like I said, kindergarteners and TKers have done a phenomenal job with that, staying in their area. I'm curious to see how first and second graders will do because they remember school how it used to be. So, but I think because we've had these 7-8 months of the pandemic and learning new protocol, I'm anticipating that the kids will do just fine. These are more the upper grade classrooms, so same thing there. Okay, I think this is Mrs. Arnold's class, 3rd graders. Okay. Every classroom is going to have an air filtration system that is good for 1,300 square feet, which is much larger than any of our classrooms. Teachers are also encouraged to keep their doors and windows open so that there's cross ventilation. They can also keep their fans going.
Dana, can I ask a couple of questions before you go on?
Yes.
Okay, so people are asking, can kids ride bikes?
So we're asking initially, no. We want to help them learn this protocol first. We do have the bike racks placed. We've got one outside the kindergarten classroom. We've got one, and we've got 2 outside in the back in the parking lot is where we're putting another. There won't be any on the breezeway. But we're asking that they not ride bicycles initially, that they walk or get dropped off. If you bring your child, if they walk to school, the parents will have to leave them at the corners. Let me see if I've got a picture here that I can show you. So like in this picture here, if you can see my arrow, parents can walk up to that line up here, but the rest of the way the kids are going to have to walk on their own. Again, it's to prevent groups of people. And here, if you drop them off on this end, we're going to drop them off at where the crossing guard is. On that corner, that would be as far as adults could go, and the kids would have to proceed by themselves. Once everybody is on campus and knows the protocol, I anticipate that by December, because we have to get 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade on campus as well. Once they are on campus and they know the protocol, then we can let kids ride bicycles. For now, we're being super careful.
Okay, I have a couple more. One person wants to know, what will you be able to do if some of the younger students want to run and go play on the playgrounds while sitting on their marked X spots?
You're talking on the drop-off or the pickup?
I don't know if it's drop-off or pickup, but if they want to go run and play on the playground, what will
So in the drop-off and pickup, they don't. They have to stand on the X, which is why, I mean, if they're dropping them off at 8:40 when school starts, they will be on there for a very short amount of time, and then they go into the classroom. Before school and after school, there is no running on the playground. That's just for recess. Okay. Any other questions?
Someone asked, on Monday, can students do that walking procedure then? If they go to the corner, can it start Monday?
They can. As long as you explain to them, you're walking to the pink square, you're walking to the pink X, you're walking to the green X. I think it would be helpful for that. You could actually come on campus over the weekend and show them where they need to go. That might be a good way to go. So if you're going to do it that way, okay.
And then how about what is our rainy day procedure?
We get them into the classrooms as soon as possible. I am anticipating, this is a transition phase, getting kids to stand on these X's. After the first 2 days when they know how to do it, the second week, they're going to go and line up outside. First and second graders will go line up outside. Okay, this is just to show them what the protocol is, to teach them where they're going to line up outside, all of that kind of stuff. But then they should be able to go straight to their lines outside and line up and come into class.
Is the protocol, if your child is late, do you still go to the office?
Initially, I would say no, because there's so little, no, I would say initially, because the time, I think we have to see how the traffic goes. So we will be lenient with that, with the tardies. I mean, if they come 20 minutes late, that's another thing. They would have to go through the front office because all the gates are locked.
So should they just walk straight to their classroom then, if that is the case?
Well, we have 6 yard supervisors out there waiting. So if we know that somebody is still missing, we stand out there and wait. But I'm saying if a child is 20 minutes late, they will have to go to the office because the gates will be locked. Okay. So if we're talking about 5-10 minutes late, no, they won't have any problem. There'll be plenty of support to show them where to go. And they would proceed directly to the class.
Okay, and then another question. Is there an option to opt remote rather than hybrid model? Please let them know. So what is, if you're not—
So at this point, there is not that option. The window for choosing VLA closed last week. If you remember, parents were opting for in-person or VLA, and they were asked to make that commitment for the first semester, which ends in January. But the district had been lenient and allowing people to go back and forth. But as of last week, they said no more. We're going to stick with what we've got now. So if you have chosen in person, the expectation is that your child would be in person. Okay, that wasn't, it wasn't one of the options to be, in person and remote at the same time. So does that answer the question? Okay. Any other questions?
That's it from chat right now. Okay,
good. Every classroom has also received this EPE, the protective equipment. Every teacher has this bin. It has hand sanitizers, gloves, masks, sanitizing spray or disinfectant spray. I want to say in regards to masks, so we encourage, all kids should come to school with masks. If they do not have a mask, we can provide them with one. If they refuse to wear the mask, then you'll have to come and pick them up. Okay, that is the expectation, that they wear it. Okay. We will have 15-minute recess for there to be a bathroom break, a short snack, some playtime. The way we're arranging the playground is, so first of all, TKK, they have their recess from 10:15 to 10:30. First and second grade have theirs from 10:30 to 10:45. Third, fourth, and fifth will have theirs from 10:45 to 11. So the playgrounds, we have designated areas for each cohort to play in. They will be in that area of the playground for 1 week or 2 days, if you like, and then they alternate. They'll move around the playground. They're not going to be allowed to play in anywhere they want out there. The kindergarten yard is exclusively for TKers, and kindergartners, the 2 kindergarten classrooms, they're alternating between the play structure and the blacktop. The play structure is ionized. It's sprayed in the morning. Juan does that so that it is clean. And then we have kids put on hand sanitizer before and after they go on the playground structure. And that way we're able to have kids play. There's 1 yard supervisor for each classroom. I know it says cohort here, but it's also the cohort. So we have 1 yard supervisor assigned to TK, 1 assigned to Mrs. Ramsers, 1 assigned to Mrs. Robertson. Same thing in the first and second grade. So 1 will be assigned to Miss Heslip, 1 to Miss Davis, 1 to Miss Marston, one to Miss Chase, one to Miss Marshall's. And that yard supervisor will be with that classroom and with the 2 cohorts every day. They're assigned to that grade level. We also have yard supervisors who will assist in the bathrooms. Here's the grab and go lunches. It's a big bag. It's available for free at dismissal time. So when kids are dismissed, the yard supervisors bring the lunches down to the classroom. Every child gets one. So please just notify Julie if your child will not take the lunch at all, because then we'll cancel that order. You don't need to put in a daily request. Automatically, all students get it, but if you know that your child will not be taking the lunch, please let us know so we can prevent waste. I'll get to the bathrooms again in a second, but all the drinking fountains have been turned off. The only thing that we left on was the reusable, it was the water filler station. So we encourage families to send reusable water bottles that you can use to fill this up. Also, there's a faucet in the classrooms that they can use as well. Here, as to the bathrooms, so we have yard supervisors who monitor it during recess. There's a table outside the bathrooms with hand sanitizer and a spray if we need to clean. And then only one child is allowed in the bathroom at one time because the bathrooms are typically places where kids play, and we are preventing that play. So they have these markers outside the bathrooms. We do have, we changed this week in anticipation of more kids on campus. So each grade level is going to be designated one stall. The stalls are cleaned every night, but then they'll also be cleaned before recess and after recess. And the most important thing is for kids to, so apparently transmissions don't happen in the toilets. The transmissions happen after the toilets when they're handling the faucets or the paper towel dispensers, the light fixtures. So we really encourage, kids need to have proper hand washing techniques after the bathroom. And then as they come out of the bathroom, the yard supervisor squirts them with another hand sanitizer just to double check, just to make sure that that gets done. So in terms of cleaning classrooms, there's daily regular cleaning like the trash, the floors, the sinks. This is something I'm working closely with the custodians and the district's people who are in charge. So developing those schedules to make sure that this is happening. The classrooms get sprayed with this disinfectant spray. All the tables, the chairs, the switches, the doors, all of that stuff gets done. It gets sprayed and it kills all of the any possible germs. And as I put here, the bathrooms will be cleaned that many times, that often. High touch surfaces throughout the campus are cleaned hourly. Juan goes by with wipes and a squirter and cleans those. Okay, and then as you know, we're also encouraging teachers to take their kids outside. So we do have the outdoor classroom. They can use the tables that are outside on the playgrounds as well. Those are also wiped down before recess, before each recess. Now that we've got first and second grade coming on, they'll be wiped down between classes. Okay. I think that kind of covered it for me. I think that was the last one on this thing. Okay, so do we have any other questions?
And we had a question regarding the hand sanitizer. Their child has a reaction to hand sanitizer. So wondering what an option for that would be?
Yes, I think just, do you have a type of hand sanitizer that they can use that does not cause a reaction? If not, then we would just make sure that they're washing their hands carefully. Yes, so, yep. Yes. So this recording, it will be converted tonight and we will post it tomorrow. We'll send it out to first and second grade families tomorrow. Okay, I saw that question. Any other?
I have a question.
Yes.
Real quick, I just want to make sure I followed that. Every kid gets a lunch unless we otherwise tell you they don't I just want to, because that seems like a lot of waste. So I want to be very clear that I'm supposed to say
Yep.
my kids are eating. Okay. Okay.
That is correct. That's why we have seen a lot of waste and we're hoping to prevent it. So if you know that your child will not be eating it, please let us know so we can cancel that order. Okay, good. The most of all though is that, you know, it was, like I said, it was so exciting to have TK and kindergartners on campus. And it is going to be so exciting to have first and second graders on campus. It'll start to feel like a real school because we have been missing students. It's wonderful to see kids on the Zoom, but it's obviously not quite the same thing. Even though it's a short day and even though all these protocols are in place, you know, I still think it's super important for the kids to see each other, to see the teacher, to be together in a room. It's not quite the same, but it's going to be awesome. It'll be good. And the whole purpose, we hope, is that we'll eventually be all together. I don't know if we'll do it this year, but hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully we will. The other thing I just wanted to say really quickly too is that like I was saying before, is that there have been virtually zero transmissions of COVID at schools, whether between teachers or teachers to students, students to teachers, students to students. All of those transmissions are happening outside of school, which is why we need your cooperation. If you know that your child has been exposed, please let us know. There's no shame in it. We're living in this climate right now. And the more we can do to protect each other, the longer we can stay open, okay?
Dana, can you touch upon the pickup procedure?
So the pickup is exactly the opposite as drop-off. The teachers will bring the kids outside. They'll stand on those X's, have your color-coded signs in, and so the first grade pickup will be down by the kindergarten classrooms. Second grade will be by the front gate. We ask that you don't drop off or pick up any kids from the middle of the parking lot, okay? Stay next to the sidewalk. It will just get too dangerous. Be patient. It goes really fast if everybody's prepared. Hopefully first and second graders already know how to buckle themselves in. And I anticipate that will go really quickly. It's not a time to carry on conversations with the teacher. I encourage you to reach out to them via an email so they can set up a time to meet with you, okay? So again, it's different than it has been, but I think if we do this, we can transition to be more normal, okay? Okay, yes, I can't wait for Monday either. It's gonna be so exciting. Be great to see you guys. Walking pickup will be the same as drop off. Just go to the corner. You can wave to them and tell your child you're gonna be there and they can walk to the corner, okay? All right. Anybody wanna unmute yourselves and say anything, ask any question? The pickups right now, obviously TKK, they get out 20 minutes before everybody else. Actually, it'll be even more than that. Right now for first and second grade, we're talking about 5 classrooms. We're talking about 50 kids altogether, okay? We've been doing 30 and it's in 5 minutes, everybody's picked up. It's kind of incredible. So we'll see how it goes. This is our current plan. We're tweaking as we go along. If there are any changes, we will definitely let you know, okay? For those that have selected virtual learning for this semester, they won't be back to school soon. Correct. That's correct. As soon as you could.
It appears that some people don't know what cohort their child is in. So what is the best way for them to find that out?
Your teachers should notify you, okay? If you don't, you can contact the front office and we'll tell you. But the teachers should have notified everyone who the cohorts are. First grade, you did that, correct? Okay, good. So yes, so second grade, they need to notify you as well. We figured that was the easiest way to do it. Okay. All right. All right. So good to see you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, good. Thank you, Aaron. Mrs. Chase. Okay, hi, Mrs. Davis. Okay. And hi, Mrs. Span. Okay, good. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone. And that's it. If you have no more questions, I will stay on in case anyone has any particular questions, but the rest of you, we will see you Monday, first thing, bright and early. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hey,
Thank
hey,
you.
Dana. Dana, this is Nina. I have a question.
Absolutely, I'm staying on.
I have another parent has asked if their child is seeing the specialists, the speech pathologists and other specialists. What happens if one of those people gets test positive? How will that be handled since they see so many students across?
Thank you for asking that. I didn't address that. So all of our specialists, the academic specialists for reading and ELD and our speech pathologist and our resource specialist for the moment are going to continue serving kids remotely. There will be some instances when they will meet them in person. For example, if they're assessing, they'll be meeting them in person, but they also might, depending on what their IEP says, they might be meeting them in person. So the way that would work is they would be seeing them outside of their in-person time. Okay, so if they're in cohort A, they would see them in the afternoon, or they would, and if they're in speech and get speech once or twice a week, they would see them probably on Thursday and Friday during their asynchronous time. Okay.
Okay, so most of it will not be in person.
It will not be in person. We figured it's precious time to be with the gen ed teacher, so we'll keep them in the class for now. That may change as things develop, but that's what we're planning for this hybrid model right now.
Okay, and that also answers the universal learning question when they are trying to meet when they're not learning new material. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we've got a tentative schedule for that. We're meeting again tomorrow to try to finalize that. But those specialists will be reaching out to families to confirm the times. Okay.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Nina. All right. Catherine, did you cut your hair?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, it's so funny. Yes.
Oh my gosh, it looks fabulous.
Yeah, I do it. I cut 12 inches off. Yes, everyone. Yes, I do.
That is amazing.
Donate.
Did you really? Oh, well done. That's great. That's great.
12 inches.
Super cute, Catherine.
I don't know about that, but
I like it.
It looks great. It does. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Dana, for everything you're doing to get our kids back to school.
Of course. Thank you guys. Thank you for your patience for your patience in us getting there and for everything you're doing at home. I know it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge for everyone. So good. Okay. I'm going to stop recording. Good. And hopefully this worked.